I'm Peter. Welcome to Tarot with Bonnie and Peter, where we take the mystery out of the tarot and help you bring this ancient practice into everyday life. In this podcast, we'll talk about life, tarot, and everything in between. So grab your tarot deck, get comfortable, and start your journey to tarot with Bonnie and Peter. Hi, everyone, and welcome to Tarot with Bonnie and Peter. We're here today in the last of what I think has been a surprisingly enjoyable, I almost call it series of Dinner with the Majors. So for the first time ever, Bonnie and I know what cards we have left since we only have two. So we know that today we're going to be having dinner with the Fool and with Justice. We just don't know who's bringing whom to dinner. So that's about the only thing. If you don't know what we're talking about, then go back and listen to, I guess, all the episodes of season 2. So, for the last 10 episodes, we've been inviting 2 major arcana cards to dinner. We've been shuffling up our deck, majors only, drawing a card, and then asking little icebreaker questions, I won't say silly little questions, but, unobtrusive questions about what job you might have or, what your comfort food is. And then getting into a little bit deeper questions, things that almost look like a one-card reading. And today we're doing that with the Fool and with Justice. So how are you, Bonnie? You all set, ready to go?
I am. I'm excited. I'm excited and nervous.
I'm shuffling the cards. It's like,
I know we have 2 cards to
is,
shuffle. Well, I guess one of us is going to pick and then the other one doesn't even have to shuffle. So that's kind of funny.
A good point. That's a good point. So I forgot about that. I was in my head. I was like, okay, one of us will pick and then the other one will take that card away, and not thinking that through.
And then we're left with the final card.
Yeah, exactly.
It'll be interesting. I wonder what the final card will be.
Mm-hmm. And I know when I do
I wonder if it'll be the Fool, right? Because the Fool is like the beginning of the, it's different. People, sometimes people put the Fool at the beginning, or sometimes people put it at the end, right? Because it's 0, or sometimes people put it in the middle. So that's interesting. But if we look at, generally when you open a brand new deck of tarot cards, the Fool is usually the first one. So it would be funny if you or whoever goes first and the last card is the Fool. Yeah. It's kind of like that's, oh my God, I'm already going into a spiral. It's like the cyclical thing, right? Oh. It's like the Fool starts it and the Fool ends it, right? Mm-hmm. Like when we end with the World, we go back to the Fool. So anyway, I'll stop talking.
No. I think that's fantastic. And you're right. There are some decks and some systems where the Fool is the last card. Some others where it's inserted in between the World and Judgment. So it sits at card 20 and a half. And then, for others, it floats anywhere. It's akin to a Joker, really, in a regular deck. So it'd be interesting. So do you want to pick, I've shuffled them and I've literally put them face down in front of me. So
so do you want to pick one?
Here, I'll flip one card. All right. So I flipped the Fool, actually.
You have the Fool. Okay.
So I have the Fool today. So it is not the Fool who will finish things off. Mm. Although the Fool sits in card, before the very last card, which in some systems, that's exactly where the Fool sits. So
what card do you have? I have Justice, which is funny because Justice is my card. If we think about Libra, is connected to Justice. Yeah. So it's funny then that I got Justice.
Totally. Yeah, that's, interesting because of drawing the Fool. I like the Fool. I
like the Fool too. I'm kind of jealous that you got the Fool, if I'm going to be honest.
And this is the Luna edition, or the Luna edition of the Ethereal Visions Tarot. And Matt Hughes has stayed pretty true to form with the Rider-Waite Smith version, with Pamela Coleman Smith's version of the Fool, except instead of the staff, there's an umbrella. And I always think, it's almost very Fool-like. And then there's actually a star, there's a starry night sort of at the underside of the umbrella. And it reminds me of when as a little kid, you would sometimes think, I don't know about you, I'd be, I wonder if you jump off the roof of your house into a pool, but if you held onto an umbrella, it would kind of slow you down.
See, that's the difference between boys and girls, although I can't speak for all girls, but a boy would be like, oh, wouldn't it be fun to jump off the roof of this house into a pool? And a girl would be like, no.
We were just talking about that today, because as we were coming back, this morning from groceries, and I watched this, I'll say kid, must have been 15, 16, 17 year old young man or boy on his scooter, and right through the stop sign, made a quick right turn, basically into oncoming traffic. And I looked at Kelly and said, I think this is why the world's population is 51% women and 49% men, is because 1% of men do these kind of things before they can procreate. And sometimes, the risk, because I think the Fool is also a reminder that there are times that we have to take risks. And sometimes I think as a society, we live a little too safely. But anyways, that's, oh my goodness. Now we're really going down.
Yeah, a different.
I know. Well, I've been reading a book called The Anxious Generation by Jonathan Haidt, and it's a phenomenal, it's an amazing book, but it kind of reminds me a little bit of, that parenting with the Fool mentality. It's like, okay, well, you're going to have to take some risks to be able to, to do what you got, which now I know what the Fool's job is going to be. Yeah.
Okay, you're already planning. Darn it.
Totally.
Okay, I'm using the Lightseers Tarot by Chrysanne. I have the Justice card. This is actually a different depiction of what the Justice card looks like. It's sort of a different departure from the Rider-Waite-Smith, but I love her depiction of it, because it's almost like she's seeing a reflection of herself, and it looks a little bit different. So it'll be interesting to see what comes up today.
Okay. Speaking of Chrysanne's deck, can I make you a little envious and possibly? So I mentioned that I went into our favorite store, Healing Moon, and bought a new deck, which I will talk about at some point, possibly later in this podcast, but definitely in a future podcast, which has resonated with me. Probably the only deck that has resonated with me more is the Gaian Tarot deck. I reached out to its creator, named, I think, Danielle Morgan. That's when I get it right. It's right here. Yeah, Norman, sorry. Danielle Morgan, or Norman. So that was the one thing I bought. But the other thing I bought was this.
Well, I have it. It's awesome.
Okay. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, it was funny.
So if you're listening and you're not watching, Peter just showed the picture of the Lightseers Tarot, like the hardcover book, which I have and I absolutely love. Do you love it, Peter? Have you worked
beautiful.
with it
I've been kind of flipping through it a little bit, because it's not so much for the card meanings, although I really like reading the guidebooks to get a sense of where the artist went with the card, so you can get the symbols that are in the card. And I love that about this book, because it talks about the symbols in all 78 cards. But I like the preamble, because it really does talk about her philosophy, Chrysanne's philosophy about the tarot and how she uses it. And I really like that. That to me, I think, kind of sets the tone. It's made me a bigger fan of that deck. And I actually bought it because I was listening to a YouTube video of somebody who was reviewing the deck and didn't like it at all. And I was surprised, because I could understand where they were coming from. So I was like, okay. They talked about the fact that the symbolism wasn't deep enough. And I'm like, I'm not 100% sure that I would agree with that. So, of course, as fate would have it, when I walk into the store, I see this book on the shelf, and I'm like, oh, I totally have to grab that. Megan would always let you flip through the book, and I'm like, I love that she's explaining, the symbols of each card. Like, I just, I thought it's good. So I've been flipping through it. Obviously, it was at hand in my little tarot space.
But, yeah, wow. I love it. I love all things Lightseers Tarot. Yeah. Chrysanne, if you're listening, please come on our show.
Well, and so I told you I reached out to the to the creator of the deck I bought, and she has agreed to come onto the show in the fall. So we'll be able to discuss the deck itself. It's called the Winter Seasons Tarot, and it is stunning, absolutely stunning. Available through her shop on Etsy. It's a beautiful deck. So it's not a paid promotion. I'm, just telling you it's a gorgeous deck. If you're looking to go and explore a deck that is quite unique and focused on winter energy, it's gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. So there you go. I said I was going to talk about it at a future podcast, and it's not a future podcast episode. I'm going to talk about it right here. Oh,
awesome.
Shall we?
Okay. Yeah, shall we get into
we shall.
asking each other questions?
We shall. Let me get my...
Okay, do you want me to ask you first?
Yeah, of course. Yes.
Okay, so you're the fool today. I'm Justice. So we're going to be answering these questions as if we're that archetype. So Peter, as the fool, if you could travel anywhere in the world now, where would you go?
I don't know. I'm the fool. I have no idea. You know what? Like, just actually to play on that, if I'm going to travel anywhere in the world, I really am. I'm going to kind of play travel roulette. I would, in all likelihood, as the fool, I'd be getting on a train and just going where it takes me. Might be harder to do now. It certainly would be impossible to do on a plane. But I can remember a time when, I was backpacking through Europe, so we're talking mid 80s, where you could actually get on a train. And although you knew the final destination, you didn't, because sometimes you weren't speaking the language, you didn't have a phone in front of you to do Google Translate, you wouldn't know where all the stops were. And I would recreate that. I would be, probably in an area, know the end destination, but in all likelihood tell myself I'm getting off this train at some particular point in time. If I was the fool in the 1960s, I'd be like, I don't know, I'm hitchhiking and I'm going, wherever, somebody's going to take me.
With your little pack.
My little pack. Totally. Of course. Absolutely. Without a doubt. And in this particular case, with an umbrella.
With an umbrella. Mary Poppins style. Okay, now I can picture you like Mary Poppins jumping off the house.
Yes.
With your umbrella into a pool. Okay.
A lot of people, I get that a lot when people will look at me and say, oh my goodness, you remind me of Mary Poppins. Yeah.
Too funny.
Sure. All right. So that's I don't think that's a cop-out answer. I think that's pretty fool-like. So
yeah, I like it.
Yeah. What about you, Justice? If you could travel anywhere in the world right now, where would you go?
This one's hard.
It is hard.
Justice. Okay. I'm trying to think of balance, right? Like when I think about justice, I'm thinking about balance. And I think I'm going to give a little plug to like my ancestry here. So both of my parents are from an island in the Azores, which is part of Portugal, called São Miguel. And it's a really cool island. They have, it's a volcanic island, and there's beaches. So it's kind of like there's so many different landscapes that you can explore on that island. They have hot springs. There's actually this one place, I don't want to butcher it, so I'm not going to say it in Portuguese, and I don't know what the English name is, but it's, if you go to the top of this mountain and you look down, there's a lake, and the lake actually is two different colors. So I don't know if it's physically two different colors or it looks like it's two different colors based on how the sun hits that, or but like one side is blue and one side is green, but it's the same lake. It's beautiful, and I've seen that. I went there when I have to go again because that was so many years ago. I was like a teenager when I went. So I'm thinking like I would go to São Miguel in the Azores and explore all of these different landscapes to get this balance. Sometimes I find like when we go on vacation, it's like a beach vacation, or, we're doing something specific. But here, there's so many different things that you can do and explore. So that's where I'm going to go.
I love that. Yeah. I love that you talk about the idea of, of balance, which is very clear in the card that you have there as well. So, nice. Nice, yeah. Nice call. All right. Are you ready? You ready for the next one?
Oh, okay. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So, Justice, do you have a favorite book or movie you recommend to everyone?
Yeah, it's funny. Me and you talked about this after a previous episode, that if if we got, and we never talk about what we would say if we were to get a particular card, but we were talking about the Justice card, and me and you had picked the exact same movie, which is really funny. So I'm going Shawshank Redemption for Justice. That was a favorite movie of my like growing up when I was a teenager. We lived in the country. We didn't have like cable, right? Like today, right? Kids have everything at their fingertips. Back then, we had like one channel, but we watched a lot of movies. And one of the movies we used to watch a lot was Shawshank Redemption. I'm sure we had it on VHS. And if you don't know what a VHS is, you can find out. So what I love about that movie, I often don't look at the Justice card as this card about law and order. But in this case, it was like, okay, well, what movie would I think about it? But in this movie is about like law and order, right? Like someone goes to jail and he goes to jail. He's innocent, but he goes to jail. But while he's in jail, he maintains his integrity and he helps because I think he was an accountant, so he helps I don't know if it's the warden or whoever's running the people, or bookkeeping or whatever. And then but it's an excellent movie. So what I think about that movie and what I think about the card is like the sense of integrity and always living in integrity and being in your truth. And even though he went to jail as an innocent man, he still maintained his integrity and who he really was as an individual. It was a fantastic movie. So I'm going Shawshank Redemption.
And I'm not going to argue with you because we had talked about this before. But it now, I know what movie I'm going to select, and it's now makes your choice much, much more symbiotic. For the one that the Fool is going to choose as well. So,
and I have some for the Fool. Okay, I'm excited to hear what you're going to say. And I knew
this one as well. This, because look, there are 22 cards in there. We know the questions we're going to ask. So there's always somewhere, you come across it. Oh, that would be an excellent, book or movie for. And this is one of those things where, I knew what my answer was going to be. So.
Okay, so
But I love Shawshank. I love it as a movie, but I love your explanation as to why it fits in, with Justice. Because you could argue that I think Andy was his name, right? The main character.
Well, it was Tim Robbins, right? The actor. I don't remember his character name, but
you could argue that it was absolutely and utterly unfair with everything that happened to him. But in the end, right, justice doesn't necessarily work from a way of you get what you think you deserve. You get what the universe determines to be fair. And when you think of what his character did for, for other people, including, give Morgan Freeman's character kind of hope. Like it's just, it is such a nice homage to everything about the Justice card. So yeah, we agreed like right off the bat. It was kind of funny how I remember your reaction when, because we were talking, as I think I'd said, I know what movie I'm going to do if it's Justice. And I said Shawshank, and you were like, oh, that's me too. So it's kind of nice that we both, follow that same path. So anyways.
Yes. Yeah. I was also thinking like Aaron Brockovich, but I'm much more enamored with Shawshank Redemption just because I watched that so many times growing up as a kid. So
yeah. And look, I will watch anything with Morgan Freeman in it. So
yes.
Yeah. All right. Okay.
I hear you. Okay, Fool.
Yes.
Hey, I'm excited. I don't know what you're going to say about this one. Do you have a favorite book or movie that you would recommend?
Yeah, I do. And as you were discussing, I'm like, oh my goodness, not only is this a movie based on a book by the same author, it's actually the short story itself is in the same book that was released with Shawshank Redemption.
Oh.
And it was called The Body, and it was turned into a movie called Stand By Me. Both by Stephen King, and I'm pretty sure both written as Richard Bachman and both released in a book of short stories that included The Running Man, Shawshank, The Body, and something else. And I might be mixing up where they are, but I'm almost positive that Stand By Me and Shawshank were released as short stories as Richard Bachman, which was kind of his nom de plume. But I just think, to me, Stand By Me, it's just... it's the innocence of youth who literally decide they're going to go on a quest because, of all things 12-year-old boy-like, there's a dead
we were just talking about
dead
boys,
body somewhere they have to see, right? And who cares about how risky or how stupid, really, when you think about it, that kind of, that kind of adventure is. They're like, no. We're, they gather snacks together from that. They literally, are accumulating the little bag that the little satchel that the fool brings with them. And, they bring next to nothing. But they bring all the things that they think they'll need, on this journey. And they end up using them and stuff. And of course they discover lots about themselves and their friendship, as they go. And again, some great actors that are in there also. I think Kiefer Sutherland, I think that might have been his first big movie. Richard Dreyfuss plays the narrator of the kids. Will Wheaton, is in there. The Coreys are in there. So it's, I think it was also the start of the journey of many people who also had huge careers, in film as well. And Richard Dreyfuss, you don't see him until I think the very, very, very end of the movie, when they, kind of reveal who the narrator, who's actually the author of the story itself. But so, creating your own story, taking a leap of faith, heading on a journey, with very little preparation, being open to new experiences. All of these things fit inside the movie Stand By Me. So that was a no-brainer pick for me. That was a absolute no-brainer pick. And
that's
the fact
so
that we've
good.
got that Stephen King
I haven't watched that movie in years. Yeah. It's funny. We're going to have to go back and think about all the movies that we suggested or books and go back and watch them, or some of them that you mentioned I have never even watched before, but it reminds you of oh my God, there's so many great movies and books out there that we haven't watched in years, right?
Yeah.
So
and it's interesting because a lot of our choices, particularly the movie ones, come from a certain era. They come from eras of our youth, right? So you also wonder, again,
we're dating ourselves here, Peter.
Well, but it kind of links to that idea of, because The Fool isn't necessarily the area of nostalgia. That's, kind of Six of Cups energy, but it is that energy, because you talk about The Fool being that cyclical energy, right? When we have a journey and we start on a journey and then we come back to the beginning, and start over again, we're a new version of ourselves. We are an upgraded, we're Fool 2.0 or we're Fool 3.0. So, in some ways, as we sort of, and I wonder whether or not we're continuously bringing back this energy of The Fool. It's I saw this movie, when it first came out in 1988. I wonder what kind of new lessons it would bring for me if I watched it again. So.
Right? Because we're in a different season in our life now, right? When we go back and rewatch these movies, we're either going to be like, oh my God, this movie's so awesome, or this movie
that doesn't age well.
It was so good when I was a kid, but now it's terrible.
Yes.
I'm sure that wouldn't be the case.
I think of that with some of the comedies, where, you think something is so funny when you watch it in your youth, and then you're like, oh, it's either cringeworthy or, or you're like, that does not age well at all. I don't think Stand By Me would be one of those movies, though. I suspect. No.
Except that one, when I think of Stand By Me, I have a very specific scene that I think about, and I'm like, oh. What scene I'm talking about.
Maybe. I probably don't, but maybe we'll talk. Yeah, I can't recall because it has been a long time since I watched.
When they're throwing up.
Oh, in the blueberry.
They throw up?
Yeah.
And they're sitting in the bleachers or something, and they all start puking, right? Someone starts throwing up, and I vomit. I cannot deal.
That's at the story, the blueberry eating competition, when Will Wheaton's character is when they're telling stories around the fire. Yes, I think that's what it is. I think they're telling stories, and then the film actually shows the story that he's telling.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe, because it's it's the daytime, I think, when they're throwing up. Anyway, it doesn't matter, but.
Yeah. No, because, and you talk about projectile, I definitely, now I know the scene, but that doesn't faze me. Look,
See, for me, I'm like, oh, that traumatizes me. I'm like, I don't want to watch that part.
I spent years working as a principal in a school that only had a custodian, a caretaker, in the morning and in the afternoons. And of course, nobody, being the only kind of non-unionized and being the principal of the school, if there was ever a child who was sick, it was my job to clean it. So it was one of those things where it was like, at first I'd be like, no, I can't do this. And then the caretaker told me, just give me a trick to put Vicks Vapor Rub underneath my nose. And
I'd go in with a full hazmat suit.
Well, I mean, I obviously go in with gloves and whatnot, but then I would have to just, little swipe of Vicks under the nose, and then I was totally fine. So those scenes, not for me. Anyways, we've kind of gone. Today we will call this Dinner with the Majors / Tangents with Bonnie and Peter.
I love it. Do you know what I would have said for the fool?
No, yeah, you said you had an idea. Yeah, what would you say?
I have two, but I'll just say one. The Wizard of Oz.
Oh, yeah, totally.
I thought that was so good. No, okay.
No, it's great. Well, I think because the archetype of the fool, the idea of that journey of the fool, is pretty much any quest-based journey, right?
Yeah,
the Hobbit,
it could be
any
so
of the
many
Lord of the
movies.
Rings, it totally could, right?
Lord of the Rings, yes.
Right.
Forrest Gump, so many.
Yeah. Forrest Gump on a number of occasions, almost, and then he's kind of fool-like as well, but, exceptionally wise, but then also, pretty naive. Yeah, I think the fool, I'm standing by my first choice.
No, I love it. I wouldn't have thought of that, and I love it.
But I do think that because this whole, kind of fool or heroes or heroines journey is pretty ingrained, at least in sort of Western or English speaking language culture, that we would see a lot of movies that would be based on that thing. So yeah, for sure.
And I think about too, when I think about the fool, I think like the fool is the protagonist of the tarot, right? Like they're the one that goes out on this journey and starts to meet these archetypes. Yeah. So it could really be any movie where the main character is interacting, right, with people. So yeah, Fool's great. Yeah. We love the fool.
Yeah, we totally do. The fool.
Okay, I think it's my turn to ask you this.
Okay.
Fool?
Yes.
What's your go-to comfort food?
It's like I'm sitting here going, oh, what is my go-to comfort food is the fool. Oh, you know what? This is hard. This is hard. Okay. It's sticking with the idea of the fool. The fool really is comfortable at an all-you-can-eat buffet.
Yes.
Right? The fool wants the ability to just kind of go out there. Every plate is going to be a different plate. Maybe they'll stay a little bit longer in this section. Maybe they'll just choose based on color, based on taste, based on region. But they're comforted with the idea of almost meal as journey. So they're heading to an all-you-can-eat buffet. I think part of me thinks I've used that before, though.
It's okay.
I'm almost positive I used a different card. So
for buffet,
that's
okay. The fool can do the same. It's true. It's like like everything's an adventure.
And I'm thinking, yeah. But I'm now, because I'm starting to recall the experience, and I'm almost positive that I did that. But oh well. Sorry for doubling up, lack of originality on my part. But I do think that the buffet idea definitely sits as comfort food with the fool. So
I love a good buffet.
Yeah. But then, as we have mentioned many times, and I will throw this out to somebody who I will not name, but spoke to this week, who said to me, is a longtime listener, and said, I always want to put a question or a comment in there. This is your invitation. If you've got an idea for the fool other than all you can eat buffet, please, by all means, add it. That would be, to the unnamed person. And again, to the unnamed person, thank you so much for your continuous listening and support. But anyone, if you've got an idea for any of the cards that is different from the one that Bonnie and I shared, please, by all means, share it. It helps us kind of attach meaning to cards as well. So, please do that. So, Bonnie, you got my cop-out answer, or at least my repeat answer for the Fool as far as comfort food. Justice, what's your go-to comfort food?
Oh, I like Justice, but okay. If I'm thinking balance, I'm gonna go surf and turf, steak and lobster, right? We have land and sea. And who doesn't love a good steak and lobster? Yeah. I think I'm gonna, because again, I'm trying to incorporate what would Justice want? Justice wants some type. I was thinking, maybe something light and heavy, but I'm like, no, land and sea. That's balance. So I'm going surf and turf all the way with like garlic mashed potatoes.
And I'm imagining the server coming to your table beforehand. And what do they usually put in front of you before a big, large steak and sometimes lobster? He put basically a sword. Like they put a big, giant steak knife.
You're right.
So,
yes.
Often placed right, almost in the same way that Justice would be holding that sword.
I didn't even think about that, but yes, Peter.
Now, do I have my Justice card here? I do.
That's
right?
She has a huge. Right?
So on
she's
this
holding
card, on this one, big steak knife. Right?
Yeah, same here. She's got this massive sword. I love it.
Nice steak knife.
Oh my God, my mouth is watering. I need to. I need to go have some steak. How often do you eat steak and lobster? Well, our anniversary, mine and my husband, our anniversary is coming up on Saturday. Maybe I'll have to indulge in
steak and lobster. See, I can't order lobster from a restaurant. And I know that sounds pretentious and I don't mean it to, but I actually come from my father's family most were lobster fishermen. So my background is Acadian. And actually tomorrow so we're recording this on the 14th of August. So for us, tomorrow is the 15th of August is the Acadian national holiday. So it's kind of a small nation within a nation of French-speaking people who are not Québécois, but who are Acadiens. And so most of my dad's brothers were lobster fishermen. So when I was younger and my dad, who, had moved with my mom to the Toronto area, we would always go back every summer to the Shediac kind of area, the Northumberland Strait area along the Acadian coast, and we would get lobster. And by lobster, I mean we'd get 30 or 40 pounds of lobster, and my dad would get it from his brothers, and we would sit down at this feast, and I would eat 4, 5, 6 pieces of lobster, basically with a little bit of melted butter, a little jar of mayonnaise, salt and pepper, and that's it. My mom would teach us how to rip it apart, including how to get all the guts and stuff out. So I can't pay a ridiculous price for lobster in a restaurant, and it's never as good. Like some of my best childhood memories, and I did not, come from, an affluent background, working middle class background, but lobster was something that we had easy access to was right around August 9th, August 10th, which was the start of the lobster season in that area. And we were usually out on the East Coast for that. And so I can't do lobster, but scallop,
yeah, any seafood, like any kind of seafood makes me happy, really. A good shrimp too, like a nice, right? But I remember one time Steve and I were in Cuba many years. I don't even think we were married yet. We had gone to Cuba and we did one of those catamaran cruises. They were catching fresh lobsters from the ocean and cooking them on the boat. And I think it was like $10 to get one of these lobsters. And the entire lobster was like, it was all meat. Like they weren't the lobsters that we have here in Canada, right? It's like this giant tail, and then all they did, I think they just put like a little bit of lime juice on. It was so good. So that's my memory of the best lobster I ever had, was on it like literally came out of the ocean, cooked, served within a few minutes, and it was phenomenal.
Right, so everybody, if you have to pause now and you have to go and have something to eat, we completely understand. Just come back and catch the rest of the episode at some point in time.
Who knew we would be going lobsters today with these two cards? That's too funny. Okay.
Who knows? Who knows? Really?
Who knows? Yeah.
Okay. Now, I just asked you, so I'm asking you again, right? So, Justice, if you could try any job for just one day, what would it be?
I don't know why this is coming to me, and if somebody can make any sense out of this, like an hot air balloon operator.
Okay.
I think sometimes when we're like when we can see the bigger picture of things, we can sort of have more discernment or make a better decision. And sometimes when we're in something, we can't really see the truth of what that is. So I'm thinking that if I like on a hot air balloon, like I'm the one who's operating it for other people, it gives me a different perspective to look at something. So I know that's kind of not so much justice-y, but well, maybe if we think about balance, like I'm going in the air because I'm always sort of rooted here on Earth. So I don't know. That just came to me. It's a wild card. I'm going hot air balloon operator for a day.
And if I have a decision to make, then, getting an elevated perspective, of that isn't a bad way to make it. And it leads nicely to the card that comes after Justice in at least the Rider-Waite-Smith system, which is the Hangman, which is all about taking a different perspective, right? So Justice gives you the wider perspective, followed by the Hangman that gives you the different perspective. So,
Yeah, and that opportunity to pause, right? Yeah. And be like, okay. So, okay,
I have one I would suggest for Justice, although it's not.
Okay, what is it? Tell me.
I would have said that if they do a job for a day, it would be a judge, but they would be a judge of something.
I thought that was like.
But they would be a judge of something like a blueberry eating contest, or right. So it would be a judge, but where it's not, or a karaoke contest or something along those lines.
Like RuPaul's Drag Race or something,
exactly. Yeah.
Oh, that would have been so much. Yeah, that would have been fun.
Or American Idol, or something along those, or Canadian Idol, along with
it's like a show, like a talent show or something, right?
Totally.
Oh, that would have been good. Thank you, Peter, for adding that, because I was like struggling. I'm like, I don't know.
I love the idea that, like, the way you described it, the hot air balloon, because to make a decision, to try and make something fair, you need a perspective that is perhaps broader than the one you have, and going up in a hot air balloon would definitely do that, right? Definitely do that. So I see.
Yeah, it's a stretch, but okay, we'll make it work.
Yeah. No,
okay, fool. Like, the world is your oyster. Like, we're going to continue on this theme of seafood. If you could try a job for a day, what would it be?
Easy. Tour guide.
Yeah, I was thinking I would be like jump out of an airplane, like that person who helps people jump out of an airplane.
Yeah, I'm a tour guide of any kind, right? And it could be that. It could be extreme tours. It could be a foodie tour for sure, if we're going to stay in that steak and lobster thing. But it would be hike. Like, I could definitely see the Fool leading, hikes into whatever mountain range it might be, or whatever forest it might be. So I would say tour guide, but I think the Fool would be adept to be a tour guide in any possible, venue at all. So that was my first thought, and I'm sticking to it. So
perfect. So good.
All right. I'm not really looking forward to the next question, but you go ahead. You can ask it.
Okay. Fool, do you have any hidden talents or quirky skills?
Look, you know what? The only thing I can really think of is, and it's because of, it is dog trainer. And it's because of the little white dog that is usually, or you know what? Because I think I'd used like a dog trick or something like that. They're a dog walker. That's a skill that they have, since they like to meander and they like to wander. And obviously they have an affinity to dogs in most, but not exclusively dogs in tarot decks. The Fool has a great skill. They are almost a dog whisperer when it comes to dog walking. So they can handle multiple dogs, and that's their quirky skill. Could have also been their job too, when I think about it, right? In tour guide, they could have been a dog walker, but for a job, they give guided tours, but as far as the skill goes, they're a dog walker. All right. So
I love it. That's so good.
Hidden talent or quirky skill. What about you, Justice? Any hidden talents or quirky skills that you would like to share with people?
Yes, I would be, well, my quirky skill and my hidden talent is walking a tightrope.
Oh, well done. Well done. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I suspect actually there's probably some decks out there that have Justice walking a tightrope.
Oh, maybe. Yeah.
Totally. That's a great call. That is a great call. Love that.
Yep.
Want to elaborate on that one or no? Just let it sit.
No, I don't know.
Yeah,
like, do all people who walk tightropes hold that stick thing?
I don't know. Having never been on one and with no interest.
You mean you've never done that before, Peter?
No, walking a tightrope. I mean, yeah, metaphorically, many, many times, but but actually, no, and no real interest. There's no Phil Dunphy in me. If anybody knows the
my God, yes,
Phil Dunphy reference.
Yes, Modern Family.
Totally.
Where doesn't he do that?
He does, yeah.
Set it up somewhere?
Sets it up in front of his house. I think
yes.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. That's a
my God, I love Modern Family.
So it's often our go-to comedy when we want to settle down at nighttime and just kind of have a laugh or two before going to bed. We throw it on, having seen it probably 10 or 15 times, but I still chuckle anyways. So I love that.
That's so good.
I love that. That was great. Okay, you ready for the last kind of light question then? Because I guess it's to you, right?
Oh, it's to me. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Hit me. What is it?
What's a song or artist you've been listening to lately?
For Justice. Okay. I may have said this before. I don't think I said this for a song that I would recommend, but I think I said this in a previous podcast. Anyway, okay. I am complete. So this is Bonnie as Justice.
Yeah, well, that's
and I'm going to make this work. I am completely obsessed with the song Messy, and I think the artist is Lola Young. I'm so bad with artist names, like especially new artists. My kids know them. I don't know them. I think that's who sings it. It's called Messy. I love this song because if I'm gonna think about it in terms of justice, it's like when I think about the justice card, it really is about your truth, right? It's about what you put out in the world is what you get back. And it's about living authentically and being in integrity. And this song is so like, she's like, who do you want me to be? Like, you want me to be like you tell me I'm messy and then I'm clean and you don't like it. Like you tell me to get a job and then you ask me where I've been, right? Like, so she's trying to play this part for somebody else, right? Like so that this other person can accept her, but nothing is ever good enough for that person. So that shows like she's not being in her own
true to herself.
Yes, right? So you're always going to reflect, like that's what's always going to come back to you. Whatever you put out there is what's going to come back. So if you're constantly trying to please other people, you're never going to be good enough, right? So who do you have to please really is yourself. And pleasing yourself is living in your truth. So I'm going Messy all day long.
All right. Okay. All right. That's good. And again, I'm familiar with some modern music, but this one I don't know. So when we put the playlist
Peter,
together,
you have to listen to the song. There's an explicit version. So there's the radio version, and then there's the version that is not the radio version. Yeah. You can pick which one you like better, but it's so good. We have this little boat, so we like to go boating, and Steve, my husband, will play the song, and we'll be like in the middle of the water, and I'm like screaming my like head off singing this song. I love it so much.
That's great. And the acoustics on water usually carry quite a bit, so you probably got quite an audience for it. So.
Oh, I'm sure they're thrilled when I come along belting out Messy. Right. But anyways.
I'll add it to the playlist. That's good.
It's so good. Okay, Peter, you have to listen. I don't know. I'm going to tell you I love this song so much. You're going to be like, the song sucks.
No, I'll definitely have a listen. I love recommendations for new songs. But I had one for Justice as well that played on that idea of reflection. Who am I? What role do I play? But of course, I went old school. I went with Michael Jackson, Man in the Mirror, actually.
Of course. Yes. And even in this card, she's looking at her reflection. And there's another.
It was seeing that card that actually caused me to go, oh, reflection. Oh, my goodness, Man in the Mirror. So
yes, I'm sure there must be other decks that have maybe somebody looking in the mirror for justice. That's so smart, Peter.
well, no, it's my favorite Michael Jackson song, actually, to be honest with you. Yeah, I love it. Yeah. I mean, I like it from a vocal performance, because his vocal inflections in there are next level. But there's just, I don't know, there's just something about the buildup of that song. Like I think it's his masterpiece, which is interesting because, you know, it's probably not, I know it's not his biggest song, but I love it. So as soon as I saw that reflection, I'm like, oh my goodness, okay.
I love it.
So, all right. Well, and, you know, we got quite a playlist. I think we've got...
I can't wait to hear this playlist.
I'll be putting it together. So I've got just a couple of finishing touches on my Cards of Virgo course, and then my next job. So before, it won't be up, this podcast will be up, but then before the next podcast will be up, the playlist will be up and shared. So we'll share it on our social media channels. We'll share it. I probably believe we can show you. Of course, we can share it. Well, maybe we can share it on our website. I'll try and figure out how to be able to do that. But, you know, we'll share it for sure. We'll definitely share it in the episode notes. So we'll go and add it there as well. So I'll be working on that one. So
okay, but before you do this playlist, you have to tell us, The Fool. What song or artist have you been listening to lately?
So The Fool is a very big fan of Journey's major hit, Don't Stop Believin'. Right? Because we've talked about some aspects of The Fool. We talk about Journey.
Oh my God, right? That's so good.
But the one thing about this song that I thought really linked well to The Fool is it's a song about optimism, right? In the end, it's whatever you are doing, don't stop believing in yourself, right? So I thought that's a pretty Fool-like message, the idea of optimism, of, you know, yeah, look, take that first step, then take that next step, you know. But then I also thought, you know, it's Journey, right?
It's so Journey.
Even
and
the name
guy's
of the
on
band,
a train, right?
Yeah, it's right, exactly.
Who's on the train? Is it the girl or the guy? I gotta sing. I have to sing the lyrics.
In the lonely world. I don't know. I'll have to.
He took the midnight train.
There you go.
Going anywhere.
Yeah. So it now makes me think of the Will Ferrell and Jimmy Fallon do a skit where Jimmy Fallon is a performer on stage singing the song, and he's being heckled by Will Ferrell, who's asking questions, and Jimmy Farrell is answering. Where did he go? On the midnight train. For how long? It went on, and it's absolutely priceless. Absolutely priceless. So, you know, of course,
have to look for that.
We will have the Journey song on the playlist. But, you know, for those of you who are looking for a pretty good laugh, I'm pretty sure it's Jimmy Fallon and Will Ferrell who do a great skit based on this particular song. So.
Oh, that would be so good. We used to watch all the Jimmy Fallon skits when they would do like the lip syncing contest.
Yes. Yeah. Now, some of them are brilliant, you know, especially Justin Timberlake. Like there's some really, really good stuff there. Yeah. We will have to have a subtitle to this episode called, you know, the tangential you know, Bonnie and Peter go on a tangent.
We're going on journeys, Peter. We're the fool.
Right?
Everything that's limitless.
Perfect episode to draw the fool in. Where we
because we're going everywhere today.
Squirrel. Oh yes, squirrel.
All right. I have a couple songs for the fool. Do you want to hear them?
Yeah. Of course. Yeah.
And you've said this before, which is funny. I think you've mentioned this, not as a song, I don't think for a particular archetype, but anyway, Walking on Sunshine.
Yep.
Hello, Katrina and the Waves. And The Dog Days Are Over. What is that, Florence and the Machine?
Yep.
Is that right?
Yep.
Because you think about the dog, and then it's kind of like, oh, the dog days are over. Like, I'm going to like do this thing. Anyway, that was just honorable mention.
Yeah. No,
yours is so much better. Yours is so much better. That wins. Like,
I do like Walking on. I like Walking on Sunshine. I might have mentioned because we've added it as one of the songs to our playlist for the band. But yeah, it might have been a song that came up for the Sun card. But
was that your choice for the sun card?
I'm not sure. Now, of course, I have to go back. One of the reasons why the playlist is going to take a while is I'm going to have to go back and listen to the playlists and get these songs. But
yes,
or just grab the transcript off YouTube. But,
oh, true. Yeah. That would be fast. I know we really should write down what we said. I know,
but look, we have so much fun recording the episode that you know, once we're done, we're probably pretty spent. Excuse me. All right.
Yes. Okay. So is it my turn to ask you? I think so.
Sure.
Okay. Fool. So now we get into the more serious questions. What is blocking or challenging me right now?
Okay. So I guess if I'm answering this question as the fool, right? So I'll go along the path that the last song kind of led us down. So the selection that I had was Journey's Don't Stop Believing. So, you know, if you're answering this question as the fool, you're thinking, you know, there's what's blocking or challenging you is perhaps a belief in your infinite potential, in that, that idea that you are stopping to believe in yourself. So, you know, if Journey says through the fool's eyes, don't stop believing, then the message that is to counter that block is don't stop believing. That, you know, the block is, the challenge is that belief in all possibilities through the fool, is that, you know, when we're sitting there on the cliff and we haven't taken that leap of faith, we don't know what our potential is. But the minute we actually step off the cliff and we start to fall, where we land is limitless. So, you know, it's the fool kind of saying, you know, is channeling their inner Stephen Perry and, you know, singing at the top of their lungs, you know, don't stop believing. That's probably the big challenge, would be that sense of infinite possibility and infinite optimism that sits with the fool, and to reharness that. That makes sense?
100%. Like, that lands so deeply right now for me, because I've been in this like weird energy lately, and it is all about like potential and believing and all of that. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
I can't express to you how meaningful that message is for me right now. So thank you.
And
welcome. Steve Perry, so funny. We went to Portugal for my for Justice.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's Portuguese. I think his real name is Steve Pereira, and I think he shortened it to Perry. I could be completely lying and wrong here, but I think he might be Portuguese.
Okay, could be, and it could also be one of those things where, you know, particular nations or cultures take like famous people and just claim them as their own, and they say, you know, so and so happens to be this nationality, when they're not even close. But you know, you never know.
You never know. I could have totally just made that up. But.
And we were talking, because I get together with a men's group every second week, and we just check in on each other. And so we got into a bit of a philosophical conversation last night about a book called 4,000 Weeks by
yes, I've
Oliver
heard
Berkman,
of this.
I think, is the author. And his premise is many of them, but the idea of 4,000 weeks is that's roughly the amount of time that the average lifespan in, you know, developed nations has. It's roughly 80 years or so. And part of what he talks about is that idea that sometimes we get so caught up on wanting to do things well that we miss the experience of just doing things. And he says, in all likelihood, you are actually going to be really crappy at all the things, or most of the things that you do in your life, and you're only going to be really good at a very select few. So that's kind of this message. It's like, you know, we kind of get stuck in that idea that instead of enjoying the journey, instead of taking that leap of faith, we think of the end game with, well, I'm not going to start that because I'm going to, like, I don't know, well, people can't see it. It's just off to my left. I have a ukulele sitting there, and I bought it because I want to learn how to play it. But you know, as a musician, it should be easy to pick up, but I'm absolutely garbage at it. And yet I'm afraid to pick it up because I want to be good. And this philosophy has said, just nobody's listening. This is just for you to try a new experience. And that's, you know, that kind of links to the challenge the challenge that's associated with the Fool card is that, like, nobody cares how good you are at something. What you're losing by not experiencing something is the experience itself, is what comes of the experience. And even being open to, of what that experience brings. It might not be, the skill that you're trying to learn or the end journey of the trip that you're planning. The experience might be somewhere in between. But if you don't start it, you won't know. So
I love that. Thank you.
So that was that. Yeah. 4,000 Weeks. I'm pretty sure it's Oliver Burkeman, but
I think I need to read that book because that book keeps coming up for me. I've heard somebody else speak about that recently and I was like, oh, that's so interesting.
Yeah.
So
yeah. As I kind of approach week, in that 6,000 to 8,000 week journey, I'm like, ooh, I talk about being midlife, but so I'm going to live until I'm 120.
Hey, you never know.
You never know. You never know.
Never know.
All right. May I ask you, Justice, then the same question? I'd love your guidance on what is blocking or challenging me right now, or general guidance for those who are listening, including myself.
Okay. It's funny that you brought up the song that you mentioned for the Fool to answer this for me. And just as you asked me that question, I was like, oh, what would Justice say? And I thought about your pick for the Justice card about man in the mirror. So what I'm going to say is what might be blocking or challenging you is that when you look in the mirror, Peter, who's looking back at you? Right? So take some time to be like, who is the man in the mirror? Right? Like, in this instance, and like, am I showing up as who I really want to be, or am I showing up in a way how I think other people want me to be? So really, because I mean, I've sort of mentioned this already in this conversation, but it's like, we live our life so much trying to show up in a way that we think other people want us to show up. And we miss out on life, and we miss out on like being who we actually are because we sort of have this facade. And it's like, if you could just really be Peter, like, and stand in your truth and know, like, what even is your truth? Sometimes we don't even know what that is. We don't even know what we really want or who we really are because we're just sort of going through life and we're doing things the exact same way we did them yesterday and 20 years ago. So I would say, really look in the mirror and be like, who is Peter, right? And how do I want to show up? And then actually see, like, maybe it is. Maybe you are living in your truth and you're like, yes, like, this is who I want to be and this is who I am. But if not, then it gives you an opportunity to reflect and be like, okay, well, if I'm not showing up, right, as my true self, what are some things that I can start doing to make that happen? So it's funny that you said that about man in the mirror, and I never would have answered that question in that way, but I was like, that's interesting. So.
Wow. That's very, very powerful, very powerful statement. So I'm going to reflect on that one. I'm going to sit with that. I'll probably replay this segment because this one, like you would say, this one touched home for me, so I won't go into more detail than that.
We're gonna be crying at the end of it.
It's pretty close there for a second. Pretty close for a second when because anyways, but for me, because right now, when if somebody would ask me, who do I see when I look at me, I see my father, and probably because the age my dad was at when he died would only be about maybe 14 months older than I am right now. And I look very much like my dad, kind of, in this area. So it's so funny you mentioned in the mirror, when I'm shaving, and I obviously shave, but mostly it's my head. I will sometimes look and be like, oh my goodness, it's like my dad is staring back at me. And that, look, my dad was my dad. My dad's been gone for over 20 years, but, and like I think a lot of, boys and men, I've a good but complicated relationship with my dad too. So, that was, anyways, that I will definitely take that on and listen to that very wise segment around that question. So yeah, thank you for that for sure. For sure. I really appreciate that. Yeah. Well, can I
You're
ask
welcome.
Can I ask you another question?
Yes.
What will support me to move forward, Justice?
Okay, so again, we're going on tangents here. Like we're taking different turns that probably we normally wouldn't have taken before. So I often do this as well when I read for other people. I take the cue from who I'm reading for. And you said when you look in the mirror, you often see your dad, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to say, what would support you to move forward? I would say, what would your dad say to you, right? Like when you're looking in the mirror, what advice would your dad have for you to help you to move forward? Right? Because a lot of times how they were, I mean, I'm still lucky both of my parents are still alive, so I don't have that experience, but I mean, other people that I know have passed on. I think how they speak to us now that they're not here in this physical form is very different maybe than they would have spoken to us when they were here. So what, like, I don't know, I'm just getting the sense of like, what would your dad want to say to you now? And that's what's going to help to support you to move forward. So something, I mean, I'm not giving you a concrete answer right now, but something that you can think about to be like, what would he say to me?
Yeah.
So,
and I would often think tarot doesn't necessarily give us concrete answers because the answers are often within, right? And I was actually talking to a practitioner who I see often, a non-tarot practitioner who's actually a big fan of the podcast, which is quite nice. I know. I like that. And we will sometimes, during our sessions talk a little bit of tarot. And, I always say, well, tarot is guidance, but for it to be action oriented, the person who's receiving the guidance actually has to do something. So, for you to say that question, well, what would your dad say? What advice, what guidance would your father give? What would they say when you're seeing them in the reflection? That causes there's an action there that I would have to take if I want to know that answer, right? I actually have to ask that question to my dad, and sit and think and contemplate what that response might be. Whereas I could leave that response, I could let that justice response hang and say, okay, well, that's great. That was great advice. But if I want something to come of it, I have to do something, right? The agency actually sits with me. So again, for those of you who are listening, that I think Bonnie and I both find that the tarot, although it's a great guide, the agency actually exists with the person who's getting the advice. It's like, well, what are you going to do with that? A therapist would tell you the same thing. I can give you, guidance and steps, but if you don't take them, well, what's going to happen? A physiotherapist would do the same thing. You can go and see them and they say, okay, well, I need you to do this, 7 times, over the next 14 days. And if you go back and see them 2 weeks later and they say, well, what did you do? I didn't really do anything. You can't expect improvement. So,
yeah,
so
like
you've given me some work to do now as well, which
it's hard, right? Like tarot it has this way of opening us up and being like, oh, I never thought about it like that before. Or, oh yeah, like I never thought to sit and contemplate about that. But like really, Peter, what this whole thing is about is like, what is your truth, right? And it could be that like, I feel really good about how I'm showing up and what I'm putting out there. That's fantastic because the tarot also validates you, right? Like a lot of times it's like, oh yeah, I am on the right path. This is what I am meant to do. But it also offers time for introspection and reflection. So I would really say like, how am I showing up? How am I standing in my truth? What am I putting out there? And how am I receiving that back? Because our outside world is just a reflection of everything that we believe on the inside, right? Like people do act as mirrors to us. So if there's something that you'd like to change, where can we draw that energy from so that we could be like, okay, this energy might be causing this thing to come back to me. Now I have an opportunity to make a change. So it's really reflecting. So reflecting mirrors. Wow. We could just keep going on and on.
Well, and even the depth, like, and we're basing some of this guidance on one card, right?
On one card, yes.
Right. So when we think about when people say, oh, you're working with tarot, how many cards? Well, sometimes one is enough,
What is exactly? You get so much from one card, and the imagery on that card, again, depending on the deck that you're using, can bring so much up. So there's so much depth and richness in this, as you can tell, because we've just been going on and
ripping off one card, one question.
Yes. Okay. So for our final question, Fool, what will support me to move forward?
Yeah. Well, you know what the answer the Fool is going to tell you, right? So we talk about what's blocking you and what you need to do. Like the Fool would say, there are probably a series of cliffs. You need to jump off one, right? You need to find something that even maybe it's the one that you're most afraid to take that first step and to do it anyways. Because the Fool would say, what harm can come from it? Like really, right? Like this is no harm can come from trying something new. That would be the Fool's advice. Find the cliff, take the leap, enjoy the experience. Nowhere near as verbose as we have done in the past, but perhaps equally as deep.
Yeah, it is. It's like we have this, well, I'll speak for myself. I can't speak for everybody, but it's like the simplest thing that we want to do. And you think like the end result is death. Like I'm going to die if that thing doesn't work. Like really, like if you put it into perspective and you do take that leap and you try something, and even if it doesn't work, you're not going to die. Like
That's right. Well, very few things are going to cause, if your leap is jumping out of a serviceable airplane without a parachute, not a good idea, right? In all likelihood, that's going to result in actual death. But very few choices we make even result in harm. Like that's...
Yeah, it's the panicking, it's the worry of the and that Fool says like, just do it. And whatever you do, the universe is going to support you. So I definitely really needed to hear this message today. I'm going to blare Don't Stop Believing. Like that is on my playlist of my most favorite songs. My whole family knows that. They all love singing it too. And in my own head, I sound amazing when I'm singing that song.
Of course. Without a doubt. Yeah. And the other thing too is I will tell people with the Fool card, right, is we don't know what's in the Fool's satchel. And I always tell people what might be, because it might be that you start falling and you fall fast and you're on a journey that you don't want. And it might very well be that inside the Fool's satchel is a parachute and you just yank it and you stop or slow down the fall. And then when you land, you go to another cliff and take that jump as well, right? So, we can use those images for all kinds of different things. So.
And if you don't take risks, you're never going to know, right? Like I read this quote somewhere that really wealthy people, 80% of the decisions they make didn't work out. But if they weren't making those decisions, those other 20% wouldn't have worked, right? So it's like we have to try different things. Not everything that we try is going to work, but at least we know, right? We have some information to be like, okay, that didn't work. Now I'm going to try this thing, or that because that thing didn't work, it led me to this, right? Like these breadcrumbs. So yeah, absolutely. There's some things that I've been toying with and I've been too afraid to rip the Band-Aid off, right? Like I think that would be a great Fool card, somebody ripping a Band-Aid.
Agreed. Agreed.
So yes, thank you for that.
I seem to think we had a podcast guest in the past who had suggested that you and I should design a deck. So maybe we've just discovered what our Fool card would be. Band-Aid off. Here comes the Fool. So Yasmin, thank you for the suggestion.
Yes.
Well, we went deep today. Sorry.
We did. We went deep with the Fool and Justice, which is funny. Yeah. Well, interesting.
Yeah. Although they are cards that, can prompt a fair amount of depth. Although the Fool itself, very much of the surface card, but the card, very deep and long time debated. And did I cut you off? If you were going to add something else there, I certainly didn't mean to do that. But.
No, you didn't.
Okay.
But thank you.
Okay. All right. Well, that concludes both Dinner with the Fool and Justice. It also concludes Dinner with the Majors. So if you're listening to this, I'll say this in-depth somewhat vulnerable and at times, squirrel moment experience, and you enjoyed it, go and have a listen to the other 10 episodes, because Bonnie and I had great fun visiting with each of the 22 major arcana cards at dinner. We learned a lot from each of the cards, but we learned a lot about ourselves as well as we asked some of those reflective questions. Our next episode is one that's coming from the idea of a listener who would like our take on card reversals. So that's what happens when you're working with a card and it shows up upside down. So that's where Bonnie and I are going to go next. So if you have any ideas that you would like us to explore further, let us know. We love talking tarot, and we won't run out of things to talk about, but why not explore an idea or a concept that you think, would be of interest to you, because there's a good chance it would be of interest to others as well. Anything to add there at all, Bonnie?
No, I agree with you completely, Peter. Like we love the tarot so much that we enjoy sharing this information. And if there's something, specific that you want us to talk about, we'd love to hear from you. That helps us, and it helps you too as listeners. And if you have that question, like you said, other people probably have the same question, so don't be shy.
Yeah. All right. Well, we get to that point in time now where can people find you? What have you got going on? What's in the, Bonnie, in the world of Bonnie, in the tarot world of Bonnie?
Thank you. Best place to find me is on my website, which is breathewithbonnie.com, or you can also go to the podcast website, which is tarotwithbonnieandpeter.com. Anything that I'm offering, I will put on my website. And I do have a few workshops that are in the works. So this whole food, not food. Fool energy is definitely perfect for me right now as I'm thinking about planning and launching these workshops. So, but on my website, you can check out my tarot consultations if you'd like to work one-on-one with me. If you'd like to discover yourself through the tarot, I have a mentorship program where I work one-on-one with you and help you discover yourself as you learn the tarot. So check out my website, breathewithbonnie.com. You can get on my newsletter, and I definitely send out all that information as I launch new classes or workshops. So how about you, Peter? Where can people find you? What do you have going on?
People can find me at peterwhitetarot.com or at tarotwithbonnieandpeter.com. I've got my Cards of Virgo. It will either have just launched when we launch this podcast episode, and then little hiatus for me for health reasons. Nothing significant, but I've got a bit of surgery coming up, and then I will be in about a 4-week recovery. So I won't be doing much. I put that out in my newsletter. My client and mentoring time will be limited, but I will, without a doubt, still be recording episodes of the podcast because I won't be that unwell. So I actually got a tarot reading just a few days ago, and the guidance was, I was asking around what should I let go and what should I not, and it was like I needed to think about different things, but the one thing I wasn't about to let go was the podcast. So we'll still have episodes there. But yeah, I would, the Cards of Virgo or any of the cards of the Zodiac, there'll be 3 now. If that's of interest to you at all, if that link between the astrological correspondence of the tarot and the tarot itself, and how you can use both of those modalities for guidance and for insight, then please, by all means, pop over to peterwhitetarot.com and check that out. It's called Cards of the Zodiac, with the most recent one being Cards of Virgo. Of course, they're released at every sign, which is, every 30 days, with a focus on each zodiac sign, with the idea that all 78 cards and the meaning of all 78 cards and how they connect astrologically will be covered over the course of an entire year. So that's me in a nutshell. So
awesome. Yeah. And we wish you all the best, Peter, for a quick recovery. And we're all sending you our love and our prayers and our thoughts. And
perfect. Well, thank you. And I will take those all in. I really appreciate that. Like I said, the recovery should be, guaranteed, and I will be fine. Yeah. And, I thank you for that. And I thank all of you for taking the time, especially today. If you're still with us,
if you're still here,
if you're still here, this was a deep and long one, but definitely an enjoyable one. I always learn so much when I chat tarot with Bonnie. So we love these episodes, and we love the fact that you're here with us. Give us a like, give us a share, put a comment in there, share it with people who you think would also enjoy, this level and depth, or this kind of look at the tarot, and hopefully we will see you again right here on Tarot with Bonnie and Peter. So bye for now, everyone.